Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Excaliburr podcast, hosted by me, Kyle Brooks. Today we are going to be talking about success and how it is defined. I believe it was Earl Nightingale that defined success as the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. For me, this has been a very interesting topic. The reason that I say that is when I started, I believed that earning a certain amount of money would classify me as successful. Achieving a certain amount of success or prestige in my career would define me as successful. Achieving a certain level of fitness as well as a aesthetic physically would define me as being successful. And while all of those are components of what it means to be a successful male with a masculine energy, I believe that those are more like milestones upon the pathway to the end goal of success. Success in totality to me is a never-ending race towards being a higher or better version of you. Therefore, it could be a 1% better every day in every area or in very specific areas. And that is probably one of the goals, or how I've defined goals from now on. I used to have goals defined in a very specific way using the SMART framework. For those who are unfamiliar with the SMART framework, it starts with specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-related. And by framing your goal that way, it means that you have the ability to achieve something in a specific amount of time that is very, very clearly laid out. What I did find with those goals and setting up my progression and my thoughts that way is that once they were achieved and I had conquered those challenges, there was a certain amount of motivation and reflection that was required to carry on moving forward. And it just feels like you're on a hamster wheel going round and round and round, just increasing the amount of money that you want to earn, increasing the amount of weight that you'd like to lose or put on, the car that you want to drive. At the end of the day, a lot of those materialistic and tangibles left me feeling very empty. And it was only this year that I started to redefine how it is that I classified and created my goals. A goal to me now has shifted from where it used to be very specific and time related to more of a direction. That way I know if I am going towards my goal, but it's like a race that doesn't end because I will just continually make progression on it. I heard a very interesting saying from Coach Demond the other day. He said that, what do all marathon runners do when they cross the finish line? They stop. And I drew the likeness from that analogy right back to the goal. Once you achieve your goal, you stop, you look around, and you realize, I'm in a position where I was not before. This is a very comfortable position. I might as well stay here and celebrate the win. And he said that there are processes that when people run up to the finish line and they approach it, there's two types of people that have very different strategies. The first type is a person that starts to accelerate when they see the finish line. And what this does is it puts them into a position where they haven't actually planned and strategized for this particular amount of effort that they're pushing forward. And therefore, when they reach the finish line, what usually happens is they collapse over the finish line. The second strategy, or the second person, is a person that slows down when they reach the finish line because they realize that, it's approaching, my pain is coming to an end, and I will no longer have to push myself beyond this level. With that, again, they've planned to a certain extent to where they needed to go and how they needed to get there, but they're just looking for the end of the rainbow. So you really want to be the third type of person. The third type of person is the person that maintains the same speed that they strategized to and they planned for throughout the entire race. And once they cross the finish line, they only stop because they had to stop, because there was no further to go. That allows you to have energy to move on, to move forward, and to progress beyond what it is and where you are right now. So I draw a likeness between that strategy and hard work. I have many different mentors from different avenues that have very different perspectives. And each and every single one of them are successful in their own right. The advice that they have been giving me lately, though, is very interesting. They've been telling me to slow down, that I need to stop working that hard and to take a break. And upon reflection, it is a very useful and intriguing formula for me to be able to rest, because you can only truly rest or grow when you're resting. The same when you have a workout, for example. When you're working out consistently, you're breaking down the muscles, you're breaking down a lot of the fibers. And when you eat and rest, that's when you repair yourself. The second part of that, though, is that I want to leave a mark on this world. I want to leave the world better than it is when I came here. And knowing that tomorrow is not guaranteed frightens me. It frightens me because if I've not given 110% today, then can I truly be happy going to sleep and not waking up in the morning? Because from the perspective of achievements and making the world a better place, how can you truly be happy if you have not given your all on a regular basis? The most frightening thing to me is that I'm only giving 50% a lot of the time, and they're already saying that I have overworked and outworked a lot of the other people that are around me, which usually indicates to me that I am in an incorrect circle of people. Not to say that those people are any less than me, but rather that the mindset of the people that I should be around is those of hard work and pushing beyond where they are right now. So how do I get into the point of harmonizing both of those. And that comes from the rule of thirds. I think that there is a very good principle that I've discovered lately, and that is that a third of the people that you spend your time with should be people that are slightly behind you. Those are the people that you mentor. The other third should be spent with the people that are on the same level as you and are leveling up. Those are your friends. And then the next level are people that are your mentors, people that are slightly ahead of you or quite further ahead of you in some respects. And those are the people that you should be spending another third of your time with. The key concept with this is that most people don't have that avenue. Most people do not have the ability to interact with people that are growing, humans that are just looking outward and inward and trying to make the world a better place, trying to improve themselves. Most people would rather just sit at home on a Saturday and watch TV or go out to clubs and party, drink until whatever time and wake up the next morning with a hangover. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. That's where I spent most of my 20s. Between early 18 and 25, I used to work as an alcohol rep for SAB, which is now Anheuser-Busch, and then progressed from there to Playboy Energy, an energy drink that we used to sell, and then lastly to RGBC, the really great brand company. They hosted brands like Jack Daniels, Famous Grouse, Tellemadu, Glenmorangie. So I have truly spent time on the other side, and I've seen how it is to drink until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, go to sleep, and then wake up with a hangover and still go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, that used to be the norm for me. But not having done that, I'm pretty sure that I would probably have been 10 times further ahead of where I am right now. If I had had a mentor at that stage that could reframe things to a degree of perspective, looking at what I am doing, where are you spending your money, how are you spending your money, and helping me to be able to start companies, to be able to invest in the correct areas, like Bitcoin, like certain companies of assets. I mean, I think this year was the first, 2 years ago was the first year that I actually bought an asset. I was very, very lucky to be able to get 2 vending machines plus a business from one of my very, very close friends and mentors. And the only reason that came into fruition was because it was one of my goals, and one of the aspirations that I had was to own some vending machines. So when you are prepared and that opportunity comes along and you have that mindset that is looking for these opportunities, those things will be attracted to you and you'll be able to hunt for them. That said, though, a lot of success is based in perceived failures. I have failed a substantial amount of time, and probably a lot more than most people have even tried. And that is what got me to where I am right now. It's a basis of experimenting and being curious. What makes this thing work? How does it work? And how can I break it down systematically and create a process of repeating that over and over and over again to get better results consistently? As we said in the beginning of this, progress equals success, or success equals progress. And this applies to not only yourself, but to your business, to your career, to your relationships. So it's an avenue of looking at things from a different perspective and realizing that the equation or the strategy that you applied in one specific part of your life can be repeated into a completely different part of your life, just changing the inputs and the outputs. But the equation itself remains exactly the same. And that is where a lot of the time in failure, or perceived failure, the outcomes that you didn't want to have happen, you view that as being buried. But sometimes when you think that you've been buried, you've actually been planted. And the challenges that you have right now are the challenges that you can grow through. And as you grow through those things, you have the capability to bear new fruits and to share those fruits with people. For our purpose over here in life is to gain wisdom and then to serve others. So how can you start the journey to being successful with your life, with women, with any other aspect? How I started was, one, I chose to read books. I didn't have the people around me that I needed, so I created instances where I was able to gain and accumulate that knowledge into my treasury and repeat it and integrate it so that I could use it in different avenues. When I started reading, I was only able to read at about 150 words per minute. And that is because when you're taught to read, you're taught to read at a grade school level. It's almost like when you start speaking or start learning to accumulate a vocabulary. What do you do with a particular word? You will sound out each syllable, or you'll look at each single letter to be able to say the word. Now, most people, when they read each single word and they don't have anything tracking the specific place that there are in the book. What that leads to, it leads to your eyes actually backtracking, and it also leads to getting lost in where you are. Your eyes are fundamentally made and created to track movement. So that's one of the key concepts that we'll reveal to you in Excaliburr, is how to double your reading speed, triple your reading speed. Right now, I'm probably at 1,000 words per minute. And that was just practice and learning key elements that are repeatable and can show anybody can truly do it. Next, after I started reading, I expanded my mind and looked for mentors that were a few steps ahead of me that I could model and learn from. And when those mentors show up, truly sometimes they're not open to it, but if you are adding value to where they are and you have the ability to add value to what they are thinking by giving them different perspectives or providing a service that's outside of their comfort zone. For example, you could find somebody that's 60 years old that's unable to truly market their business on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, for example, but you have those skills and you can do a skill swap in that respect. So get the mentors, and then lastly is consistently challenging yourself. Growth only ever happens when you are breaking yourself down so that you can rebuild yourself. If you liken it to working out again, this is something that is very fundamental. And if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, fundamental or physical is the base of the pyramid of Maslow's hierarchy. So going back to that example, by working out, you're breaking down and tearing those muscles down, or tearing them up, and only by putting immense amounts of stress and time and attention can that growth occur. The very, very, very same concept is likened to your life. and your mental capabilities, your career, your skills, everything that you perceive as you becoming successful, you require challenge. For virtues cannot be progressed or developed in a vacuum. It's like trying to read a book and then never integrating the actual knowledge into your life. It's just reading it for the sake of reading it. So those are the three concepts. That is what I define as success and how I went from where I was to how I became the current successful version of myself. And we'll be talking a lot more about this later on, progressing a little bit further into how to develop more skills and how to move from where you are right now into the version that you truly want to be or can be. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you guys had a fantastic day and have a fantastic day further. If you're looking for us, you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, as well as Spotify for your podcast needs. Have a fantastic day, guys.